I never believed in soul-stealing tech until the day I woke up in a body that wasn't mine, staring into the eyes of the man who'd framed me for his murders, eyes that were now mine, cold and triumphant as he adjusted the collar of my silk blouse in my penthouse mirror. They thought swapping us would bury my screams forever, letting him walk free in my skin while I rotted in a stranger's forgotten life. But as the fog lifted from this borrowed brain, I realized the truth. Revenge isn't about the body. It's about carving your name into their soul until it bleeds regret. And, oh, how I'd make him beg for the swap back, even if it meant burning down the empire we'd built on my broken bones. It started in the underbelly of Silicon Valley, where ambition chews up dreamers and spits out ghosts. I was Piper Hayes, 34, the golden girl of Helix Dynamics, a biotech startup that promised to rewrite humanity one neural pathway at a time. I'd clawed my way from a trailer park in Reno to a corner office in Palo Alto, fueled by black coffee, all-nighters, and a marriage to the man who swore he'd build empires with me. Ethan Blackwood, my husband of 8 years, the charismatic CEO with a TED Talk smile and a Rolodex full of venture capitalists. We were the power couple, the ones profiled in Wired as the future of forever. But forever's a lie when your partner's playing God with other people's lives. The betrayal hit like a server crash during a demo, sudden, total, and engineered to perfection. It was 2 years ago, at the annual Helix Gala in San Francisco, champagne flutes clinking under crystal chandeliers that cost more than my parents' house. Ethan pulled me aside into a velvet-curtained alcove, his breath hot against my ear. "Piper, baby, we've got a problem." The Phase 3 trials, there were irregularities, subjects experiencing neural feedback loops, hallucinations bleeding into reality. His voice was velvet over razor wire, the kind that made investors hand over blank checks. I froze, my Louboutins sinking into the carpet like anchors. Helix's crown jewel was Neuralink, a neural implant to enhance cognition, but whispers of side effects had been circulating in the labs. Irregularities? Thin. That's code for deaths. We can't. We have to, he cut in, eyes gleaming like polished obsidian. The board's breathing down my neck. If this leaks, we're done.
But you're
the chief ethicist. Your sign-off on the ethics board cleared it all. Remember? I did. I'd signed off, trusting him implicitly, because that's what you do when you build a life with someone. But as he spoke, the pieces clicked, the volunteers from low-income clinics, the expedited approvals I'd rubber-stamped under his pressure, the buried reports of patients catatonic in psych wards, their minds fried like overclocked circuits. Ethan, this is manslaughter. We need to disclose. His hand clamped my wrist, bruising. Disclose, and you go down with me. But I can fix it. Pivot the data. Blame a rogue coder. You'll take the heat for the signatures quietly. A plea deal. Community service. I'll make sure you're out in a year. And we'll start fresh.
Think of it as
protecting what we've built. Protecting his empire.
He meant
the one he'd funded with dirty money from offshore accounts, laundered through shell companies tied to black market organ trades, secrets I'd uncovered too late, piecing together late-night emails on his unlocked laptop. He'd been skimming trial funds to pay off gambling debts in Vegas. Debts to men who didn't take IOUs. And when a whistleblower in turn threatened to talk, she vanished, her car accidentally, plunging off Highway 1 into the Pacific. The cops called it suicide. I called it the first crack in our fairy tale. I should have walked then. filed for divorce, and blown the lid off Helix. But love's a glitch, isn't it? It overrides every firewall. 1 year, I whispered, hating the tremor in my voice. Then we're clean. He kissed my forehead, tasting like victory. That's my girl. The fall was swift and scripted. Indictments dropped like confetti at a funeral. Fraud. Endangerment. Conspiracy to cover up wrongful deaths. The DA painted me as the Ice Queen puppet master, twisting my ethics reports into weapons. Ethan testified against me, his voice cracking with feigned remorse on the stand. She pushed for faster trials. Your Honor. I tried to stop her. The jury ate it up. White-collar witch hunt. Bay Area edition. I got 5 years in federal lockup, no parole, because the judge had Helix stock in his 401k. Prison was a concrete purgatory in Victorville, where time stretches like bad code. I rotted there for 18 months, corresponding with Ethan through monitored letters that dripped honeyed lies. Miss you.
Babe.
Working on appeals.
Love. E.
But I knew better. I'd bribed a guard with commissary smokes to smuggle in a burner phone, and one frantic call to a former colleague confirmed it. Ethan had dissolved our joint assets, sold the Palo Alto house to a tech bro from Google, and was dating a 25-year-old intern. The one with the perky tits and zero ethics qualls. He'd rewritten our life without me, stepping over my corpse to climb higher. That's when the real nightmare logged in. Helix, desperate to salvage Neuralink amid the scandal, pivoted to therapeutic applications, experimental swaps for trauma victims, consciousness transfers to heal PTSD. Cutting edge, black budget stuff, funded by DARPA whispers and silicon overlords who saw immortality in a chip. Ethan volunteered me as a test subject without consent, shipping me to a classified lab in the Nevada desert under the guise of rehab therapy. They called it Project Echo, echo chambers for the soul, bouncing minds between bodies to reset guilt-ridden psyches. I fought it, screamed, bit, clawed at the white-coated techs as they strapped me to a gurney, IVs snaking into my veins like digital serpents. This is assault. Call my lawyer. But lawyers don't reach black sites. And Ethan's signature on the waiver, forged in my looping cursive, sealed it. The last thing I saw before the world dissolved into static was his face on a video feed, smirking from his new yacht off Monterey. It's for your own good, Piper. Let go. Then, nothing. A void of white noise, synapses firing in the dark. When I rebooted, it was into agony, a stranger's flesh, heavy and unfamiliar, like wearing a suit 3 sizes too big. I gasped, lungs burning with the acrid tang of cheap cigarettes and stale beer. His hands were calloused, inked with faded tattoos, a Marine Corps eagle on one knuckle, Semper Fi on the other. I bolted upright in a sagging motel bed, heart hammering against ribs that felt wrong. Too broad. Too scarred. The mirror across the room showed a ghost, mid-40s, buzz-cut graying at the temples, eyes bloodshot from whatever hell this body had endured. Jack Harlan. The file on the nightstand told me, ex-Marine, dishonorably discharged for insubordination, now a ghost hauling freight in Reno's warehouses. He'd volunteered for Echo 2, they said, to escape debts and demons. But as I flexed these alien fingers, memories flickered like corrupted files. Jack's tours in Fallujah, the IED that took his leg, wait. No, my leg? His prosthetic itched under the sheets. The divorce that left him hollow. The bar fights that ended with brass knuckles and regrets. And there, in the laptop propped on the dresser, Ethan's doing. The bastard, alive feed-looped, me. Or what used to be me. Gliding through a boardroom in Manhattan, my lithe frame poured into a power suit, laughing at some VC's joke. But the eyes, God. The eyes were his. Predatory and sharp. Scanning for weaknesses. He'd taken my body, my face, my voice, and with it, the last shreds of my credibility. Any appeal I filed now, from Jack Harlan's rap sheet, I'd be laughed out of court, labeled a delusional con. Rage compiled in this borrowed chest, hot and unyielding. They hadn't just stolen my life, they'd archived it. Rewritten the code to make me the villain in my own story. Ethan, in my skin, was closing a $500 million deal for Neuralink 2.0, touting ethical rebirths while the real me, the ethicist who'd tried to stop the madness, languished in this meat-suit exile. The betrayal wasn't just deep, it was foundational. A virus in the OS of our marriage. I'd covered for his kills. His thefts. Thinking love was the patch. Now, it was the exploit. I smashed the laptop screen with Jack's fist. Shards embedding like shrapnel. Blood, his blood, trickled warm. Not anymore, I growled, voice gravelly and unfamiliar. The first decision was controversial. Even in my fractured mind, mercy was for the weak. I'd become the shadow, the glitch they couldn't debug. Step 1. Infiltrate. Jack's body had perks, military training etched into muscle memory. A network of vets who'd owe a favor for a free beer. I'd use them to claw back into Helix's orbit. But as I bandaged the cuts, a deeper secret unspooled from Jack's synapses. He'd been swapped because he knew too much. Not about Helix, but about Ethan. Jack had been the accident witness, the trucker who'd seen Ethan's paid hitman tamper with the intern's brakes on that foggy coastal road. Ethan had silenced him with echo, dumping his mind into oblivion while Jack's empty shell got a new tenant, me. The irony burned sweeter than bourbon. My husband hadn't just framed me, he'd engineered a daisy chain of disposables. Me at the end. I hit the road that night, thumb out under Nevada stars, hitchhiking east toward the bay. Jack's old Chevy pickup rumbled to life in the motel lot, keys dangling from the ignition like an afterthought. The drive was a fever dream, freeway hypnosis blending my memories with his, my wedding vows echoing over the crack of sniper fire in his ears.
By dawn,
I crossed into California, the Sierras mocking me with their indifferent peaks. First stop, Reno, Jack's old haunt. A dive bar called the Rusty Anchor, neon flickering like a dying neuron. I pushed through the door, shoulders hunched against the stairs. This body wasn't made for blending. The bartender, a grizzled vet named Rico, squinted. Harlan, thought you were ghosted after that dust-up with the foreman. Needed a reset, I rasped, sliding a crumpled 20 across the scarred oak. Bourbon. And info on a ghost from my past. Rico poured, eyes narrowing. Whose past? Yours or the one you look like you stole? I leaned in, Jack's breath steady despite the lie churning in my gut. Both. Ever hear of Helix Dynamics? CEO named Blackwood. He whistled low, foam bubbling in the glass. Heard enough to steer clear. Word is, they make cyborgs out of suckers.
why?
You moonlighting? Something like. I sipped, the burn grounding me. Know anyone who can hack a secure net? Old school black hat. Rico jerked his thumb toward a corner booth, where a wiry kid in a hoodie nursed a soda, mid-20s. Tattoos peeking like code snippets. That's Dex. Ex-NSA. Got canned for ethical leaks. Owes me for that time I pulled him out of a brawl. Dex looked up as I approached, eyes sharp behind smudged glasses. Harlan. Rough night. Rough life. I slid into the booth. Voice low. Need a favor. Deep dive on Helix's servers. Employee records. Trial logs. Anything on Project Echo. He smirked, but it didn't reach his eyes. Echo? That's DARPA fairy dust. Off limits even for me. What's the angle? Personal. I met his gaze. Channeling Piper's steel.
My.
Wife's in deep. They took her mind.
Dex.
Swapped it like a bad drive. I get the files. You get 10 grand, clean. No traces. He tapped his glass. Calculating. 15. And immunity if shit hits the fan.
Deal.
Controversial? Hell yes. Bribing a felon to cyber trespass on a federal adjacent corp. But ethics were Ethan's game now. And I'd play dirtier. By midnight, Dex had a backdoor in, courtesy of a fishing hook baited with fake VC bait. Files flooded Jack's burner laptop in a motel room off I-80, schematics for Neuralink swaps. Victim dossiers, dozens. From junkies to jilted execs. Their psyches shuffled like a deck of despair. And there, buried in Ethan's private partition, our marriage license, annotated with notes on asset leverage. He'd married me for my ethics cred, a clean facade for his house of cards. The intern? Not a fling, a mole. Planted to seduce and sabotage. Her suicide, staged to tie off loose ends. But the real gut punch, my indictment docs, laced with Ethan's forgeries. I'd sign nothing. He'd deep-faked my e-cigs using early Neuralink prototypes. I'd taken the fall for his entire operation. Murders. Embezzlement. Human experimentation. The man I'd loved was a sociopath in a lab coat, and now he wore my face to the world. I forwarded the choicest bits to an anonymous drop, The Intercept, encrypted, with a note, the swap is real. Follow the echoes. Leak the truth. Watch the stock plummet. But that was the appetizer. The main course? Face-to-face. 2 weeks later, I was in Palo Alto. Jack's frame bulked up on protein shakes and rage, blending into the gig economy as a security consultant for a Helix subcontractor. The annual tech confab, Disrupt SF, was ground zero, Ethan. In my body, keynoting on ethical AI frontiers. Irony so thick you could code it. I slipped the velvet ropes with a forged badge. Dex's handiwork. Heart sinking to the bass thump of the crowd. Backstage. Amid humming servers and craft IPAs, there I was, me, striding in 4-inch heels. Piper's auburn waves cascading like a lie. He paused mid-convo with a podcaster, our eyes locking across the green room. For a split second, confusion flickered, then recognition, cold as liquid nitrogen. Jack, he hissed, voice my alto, smooth as sin. What the fuck are you doing here? I paid for your silence. I stepped closer, towering in this body's boots. The scent of my own Chanel no. 5, twisting the knife. Silence? That's your department. Honey. How's my face fitting? Chafing yet? My lips curled. A perfect Piper sneer. You're delusional. Harlan died in a therapy trial. This is trespassing. Delusional? Says the body thief. I grabbed his wrist, my wrist, nails digging crescents. I know about the intern. The deepfakes. The swaps. Rico spilled. Your hitman botched the breaks. But Jack saw. So you echoed him into me.
Us.
Whatever this clusterfuck is. Panic ghosted his features, but he recovered with CEO charm, glancing at the milling aides. Security, he murmured into a lapel mic. Two goons materialized, burly in black polos. But Jack's training kicked in, elbow to throat, knee to groin, a whirlwind of marine precision that left them wheezing. The crowd beyond the curtain cheered the keynote intro, oblivious. I dragged him into a utility closet, door slamming like a guillotine. You think this ends it? He spat, Piper's green eyes flashing defiance. I am you now. Your appeals? Dismissed as crank mail from a dead man. Your friends? They mourned you. Hell, I fucked your sister last month, sorry. Our sister. She tasted like regret. The words landed like frag grenades, shredding the last of my illusions. Sarah, my little sister, the one I pulled from that Reno trailer, put through college. Betrayals echo chamber. Infinite regress. You sick fuck, I growled, slamming him against humming HVAC ducts. Give it back. The swap, reverse it. He laughed. Manic. Reverses fry the brain. 90% failure. You'd both die. Piper. Is that your revenge? Mutual delete. The decision crystallized. Controversial as hell. Kill him in my body, and I'd be murdering myself legally.
Literally.
The world saw me in the headlines. Not this husk. But letting him walk, that was surrender. Sirens wailed distant, security triangulating. Time for the pivot. I zip-tied his wrists with cords from a lighting rig, gagging him with a stage towel that muffled my own screams. Not death.
Ethan.
Exposure. I hauled him to the main stage catwalk, overlooking the arena packed with 5,000 tech bros and influencers. Screens giant as billboards. The keynote feed was live-streaming globally, his moment of glory. I patched Dex's laptop into the AV rig via a rogue Ethernet snake. Queuing the files. Deepfake proofs. Victim testimonies scraped from dark web forums. Ethan's Vegas ledgers overlaid with Helix wire transfers. And the crown. A split screen of Project Echo logs, showing my therapy as the unauthorized swap it was. As the house lights dimmed, I shoved him to the edge. Piper's heels teetering on the abyss. Smile for the camera.
Babe.
The truth's got better resolution than your lies. The feed hacked in seamlessly, my face on the jumbotrons. But voiceover mine. Gravelly and raw. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Piper Hayes. Or what's left of her. They stole my mind. My life. To cover murders and madness. Watch. Gasps rippled as the evidence unspooled. The intern's tampered dashcam. Ethan's smirking confession audio, Dex's goldmine. My gurney screams time-stamped to his yacht party. Chaos erupted. Phones out. Tweets firing like synapses. Ethan thrashed. Eyes wild above the gag. But it was too late. The arena dissolved into shouts. Fraud. Shut it down. Call the feds. I leaned in, breath ghosting my ear. That's for the intern. For Sarah. For me. Cops swarmed as I vanished into the service tunnels. Jack's body, a chameleon in the shadows. By dawn, I was ghosts again. Holed up in a Berkeley flophouse. News feeds ablaze. Helix stock cratered 80%. Ethan arrested in Piper Hayes' name. Charges stacking like bad code, identity theft, multiple homicides, conspiracy. The swap tech? Sealed. DARPA raiding labs under national security veils. But victory's a glitch too. As the dust settled, Dex pinged me. One more file.
Piper.
Buried deep. I opened it. Heart stalling. Not Ethan's.
Mine.
A prenatal scan. Dated 9 months before our wedding. Our child. Terminated in secret because the timing's wrong for the company. I'd forgotten. Repressed under boardroom stress. No, he'd made me forget. Early Neuralink memory optimization during our honeymoon. The betrayals core. I'd carried his seed, lost it for his ambition, and he'd swapped us to erase the guilt. Tears, Jack's tears, hot on unfamiliar cheeks. The twist inverted everything. I wasn't the victim, I was the architect. Those ethics sign-offs? I'd pushed them. High on power. Blind to the blood. Ethan hadn't framed me alone. I'd co-signed the devil's deal. Then blacked out the abortion to sleep at night. The revenge? It freed him as much as me, exposing us. The monster couple. I drove west at dusk. Toward the Pacific. Prosthetic leg aching like a phantom limb. Ended happy? Reclaim my body. Testify as the miracle survivor. Build a new life on the ashes. Or tragic, one last swap. Frying us both in mutual absolution. The cliff edge loomed. Waves crashing below like applause. In the end, I chose the debate the gray code. I leaked the full truth. My complicity included, to a podcaster who promised no mercy. Let the world argue, was I avenger or accomplice? Saint or swap sinner? As sirens wailed behind, I stepped on the gas. Not toward death, but distance. Ethan's empire burned, but echoes linger. And in this borrowed skin, I finally felt like home. The fallout from Disrupt SF hit like a DDoS attack on the entire valley, servers of scandal crashing under the weight of leaked terabytes. Headlines screaming from the New York Times to Breitbart, each spin a different flavor of outrage. Tech tycoon in body swap horror, murder or madness, blared Sam, while Fox called it deep state mind control gone rogue. I watched from a greyhound rattling through the Oregon Cascades, Jack Harlan's grizzled mug buried in a trucker cap, burner phone vibrating with Dex's updates. Ethan was in solitary at San Quentin. Piper hazed the moniker on his jumpsuit, but the feds were peeling layers. RICO charges, human trafficking ties to Echo's donor pools, bodies sourced from undocumented migrants vanished in border town clinics. Part of me, the Piper core, silk-wrapped and ambitious, savored the schadenfreude, envisioning his manicured nails picking at concrete floors. But Jack's ghosts whispered doubts. Semper Fi meant loyalty, even to monsters. Had I gone too far? Zip-tying your own face and parading it for prime time. That's not justice. That's viral vigilantism. The kind that spawns manifestos and midnight raids. Controversial decisions? This one looped in my skull like a buffer overflow. Expose the beast. But what if the beast was us? Dex's latest drop shattered the loop. Burrowed in the abortion file was a subfolder. Contingencies. Holographic memos. Ethan's voice droning over 3D models of neural webs. If Piper cracks, deploy Echo Variant B. Full overwrite. Her body gets my engrams. Mine gets a blank slate for resale. Resale? Like black market kidneys. But for mines, Echo wasn't therapy. It was trafficking souls to the highest bidder. Oligarchs dodging death taxes. Celebs chasing eternal youth in fresh husks. And me? Variant B's guinea pig. The therapy gurney wasn't salvation. It was a heist. Ethan prepping to ditch my frame for a younger model once the heat cooled. The intern? She'd been slated for the same, seduced, swapped, sold to some Dubai chic before the brakes gave out. My stomach churned, Jack's ulcers flaring. I'd gambled our child for board seats, then let him gamify our marriage into a meat market. The hidden secret wasn't his alone, it was symbiotic. A virus we'd coded together. The bus lurched into Portland, rain sheeting the windows like neural static. I debarked into the Pearl District, hipster haven of craft brew and crypto ATMs. Jack's limp drawing pitying glances from baristas slinging oat milk lattes. Safe house, a walk-up above a vape shop. Dex's cousin's crash pad, rented under a ghost LLC. Stocked with MREs and a Faraday cage for the laptop. Lay low, Dex texted. Feds sniffing Harlan's S. They're calling it the Swapgate Files. Lay low. My blood, our blood, boiled for closure. I needed Sarah, my sister, the one thread unfrayed. Last I'd heard, pre-prison, she was adjuncting sociology at UC Davis, railing against gig economy serfdom.
Now?
Ethan's taunt echoed, I fucked your sister. If true, it was the final desecration, family as collateral in his conquest. I wired her from a library kiosk. Anonymous Gmail. Sis. It's P.
Need to talk. Urgent.
Meet at the old spot, Reno Diner. Tomorrow noon. Risky, triggers might flag it, but blood calls to blood. Even diluted by betrayal. The drive back south was purgatory on wheels. Jack's Chevy guzzling gas through redwood tunnels. Radio spitting true crime podcasts dissecting my case. Was Hayes a victim or villain? The host pontificated. Her husband's in her skin. But those ethics waivers? Signed in her hand. Listeners chimed in. Free Piper trended with Lock Her Up Piper. A digital cage match. I gripped the wheel. Knuckles whitening. Villain? Maybe. But villains get the last hack. Reno welcomed me with slot machine jingles and desert dust. The diner unchanged, Formica counters scarred by decades of heartbreak. Coffee black as regret. Sarah slid into the booth at 11:58. Older than memory, 40 now. Laugh lines etched around wary eyes. Hair streaked gray from stress I hadn't eased. P, she whispered, scanning my face like a barcode. Jesus. What happened? You look like Dad after Nom. Close enough. I cleared Jack's throat. Long story. Bad tech. Worse people. Her hand trembled over the menu. The news, Ethan in your body? It's insane. I thought you were dead.
Or.
I don't know. He came to me after the trial. Said you confessed everything. That it broke you. Then he.
God.
Piper. He seduced me. Said it was what you wanted. To keep the family close. I was lonely. Stupid. Stop. The word cracked like a whip. Not anger at her, at the web. Ethan strings puppeteering us both. It was a lie. All of it. The confessions?
Deepfakes.
The trial? His script. And the baby, our baby, I remembered. He made me forget. Tears welled. Hers mirroring mine. Baby? You never. I knew something was off that summer. The procedure. You ghosted me for months. I ghosted myself. Confessions spilled like bad code. Unpatched vulnerabilities. The ambition that blinded me. The signatures I'd initialed half asleep. The ultrasound crumpled in a trash bin because timing. Sarah listened. Hand on mine, Jack's. Rough against her soft, absorbing the horror, without judgment. Then fight it, she urged. Fire kindling. Testify. Be the ghost that haunts him.
Can't.
This body, it's not mine. Feds would dissect us both for science. The controversial fork, drag her into the shadows. Or cut her loose. Help me one thing, then vanish. Contact a reporter, ProPublica. Leak this. I slid a thumb drive across the table. Echo's full blueprint. Swap protocols. Victim manifests. Ethan's buyers list. Russian oligarchs. Hollywood has-beens. A senator's empty shell. She pocketed it. Resolve hardening. For the baby. For you. A hug. Fierce and fleeting, last tether to Piper's world. Nights blurred into code dives. Dex remote patching from his Seattle bolt hole. We traced the buyers, a Qatari prince in a starlet's form. Ranting on X about feeling fabulous, a Wall Street wolf in a barista's frame. Shorting stocks with insider ghosts. Disrupt the chain, anonymous tips to Interpol. Framing it as trafficking bust. Each ping a needle in Ethan's empire. Threads unraveling. But power's cunning. Ethan lawyered up. Alan Dershowitz 2.0. Spinning Swapgate as experimental consent gone awry. Bail hearing loomed in Frisco federal court. My body prepped for release on a technicality. Insufficient evidence of mens rea in swapped state. Bullshit legalese for he's rich. We're bought. I couldn't let him walk. Climax brewed. Crashed the hearing. Unmasked. Dex sourced a Neuralink prototype black market. Jury-rigged from a disgruntled Helix engineer. Temporary bridge, he warned. Link mines mid-trial. Force a feedback loop. He'll spill in your voice. Risk? Catastrophic. Neural burnout. Psychosis.
Death.
Controversial? Ethereal. But as I soldered circuits in a roadside motel, Jack's steady hands channeling Piper's precision, I saw the endgame, not just revenge, but reversal. Make him feel the erasure. Court day dawned foggy. Bay Bridge choked with protesters, body swap lives matter signs clashing with tech accountability pickets. I infiltrated as maintenance, jumpsuit over tactical vest. The implant itching behind my ear like a demon's whisper. The gallery buzzed, Sarah in the back row. Thumb drive delivered. ProPublica sniffing. Ethan me on the stand, composed in orange scrubs that clashed with auburn curls. Lawyering denying alleged fabrications. The judge. A grizzled Reagan appointee. Banged gavel. Bail granted. Pending psych eval. My cue. I triggered the bridge from a utility closet. Static surging, world fracturing into binary screams. Synapses bridged the gap. Ethan's thoughts flooding Jack's skull. Mine now. All mine. Piper's patents. Her Rolodex. Her cunt of a sister. I pushed back. Voice booming through courtroom speakers. Hijacked AV. My gravel over a silk. Liar. I am Piper Hayes. And this thief murdered for millions. Chaos. Gasps. Bailiffs drawing. Ethan convulsing on the stand. My face contorted in silent howls. Feedback looped, his secrets vomiting forth. The intern begged, tires screeched, sold her mind to college for $2 million, Piper knew. Signed the waivers, our baby. Collateral. Fuck. The gallery erupted. Phones capturing the breakdown. Sarah's ProPublica contact live tweeting. Defending confesses on record. Swap tech real. Horrors expose. Feds swarmed. Evals skipped for lockdown. Ethan slumped. Eyes rolling. My eyes. Whites veined red. Disconnect hit like a crash. Leaving me reeling in the closet. Nose bleeding copper. Victory?
Pyrrhic.
The bridge fried nodes. Jack's memories surged dominant. Fallujah flashes. His ex's laugh. Deaths I'd inherited.
Who's I now?
Piper's ghost or Harlan's echo. I slipped out amid the scrum. Fog swallowing me whole. Dex pinged. It's viral. Helix dissolved. DARPA probe. Buyers scattering like roaches. But the twist gnawed in the loop. Ethan's final thought, not hate, but hunger. He'd swapped to save me, or so he believed. My repressed abortion? His gift, a memory wiped to spare my grief. Twisted by ambition into control. The villain? Not one man, but a system, Tech's God complex. Love's dark algorithms. I headed north again, toward the Canadian line. Sarah's last text burning. You're free.
Sis.
Whatever shall. Free, skins shed. But scars script the code. The debate rages online. Hero or hacker? I'd lit the match. But the fire consumes all. Freedom's a glitchy bastard. Tastes like stale diner eggs and the phantom itch of a limb you never lost. Weeks after the courtroom meltdown, I holed up in a seaside cabin. Oregon coast. Where waves gnaw cliffs like doubts eating resolve. Jack Harlan's pension checks, diverted through Dex's laundering, kept the lights on. But sleep was a denied service. Nightmares blending Piper's boardroom pitch with Jack's bunker sieges. Ethan's sneer morphing into my own reflection. The news cycle chewed Swapgate like gristle. Spitting memes and manifestos. Deepfake Piper deep-throating truth. Or Jack as the vengeful vet avatar. Echo exposed trended. Birthing congressional hearings. But the powerful pivot, senators with swapped spouses stonewalling. Tech packs flooding lobbies with innovation protection bills. I monitored from a satellite-rigged Dex jury-rigged. Paranoia, my new OS. Ethan? Indefinite psych hold at a black site clinic in Langley. Evaluating neural integrity. No visitors. No calls, just feeds of my body wasting. Forefed and vacant-eyed. Auburn hair matted like a discarded wig. Part of me pitted the shell. The rest plotted contingencies. The revenge arc arced toward climax. But climaxes demand sacrifice, mine. Controversial calculus. Burn the bridge or cross it ablaze. Sarah's updates were lifelines. ProPublica expose dropped. The soul trade. How Silicon Valley sold your mind. Pulitzer bait with victim spotlights. Catatonic donors. Families suing shadows. She was safe. Relocated to an adjunct gig in Vancouver under alias. But her emails ached with unsaid. Come north. Be family, not phantom.
Tempting.
But ghosts don't homestead. They haunt. The catalyst pinged midnight. Dex's voice crackling over encrypted VoIP. Boss lady, Piper Jack, trouble. One of the buyers. That Qatari prick in the starlet swap? He's lawyered up. Countersuing Helix remnants. Subpoenaed you or Harlan.
Anyway.
Claims invasion of mental privacy from the leaks. Feds cross-reffing. They're onto the Reno bar tabs. Shitcode. Exposure's double-edged. I'd lit the net. But flames lick back. If they trace Jack to me, the bridge logs would surface. Proof of tampering. Vigilante hacks. I'd be the fall guy. Second verse. Piper's accomplice in a vet's skin. Federal time for cybercrimes and assault. Run or stand. Force the final reversal? Decision forked like bad routing. Controversial? Yes. Impersonate the dead to testify. Dex sourced prosthetics. Facial latex from Hollywood FX contacts. Voice modulator tuned to Piper's lilt. I'd crash the hearing as myself. Body double in the flesh. Spilling the full daisy chain. Risk? Arrest on sight. Or worse, recognition sparking a swap riot. Protesters storming the Hill with neural torches.
DC.
Was a swamp of suits and surveillance. Cherry blossoms mocking the rot. I flew commercial. Jack's bolt crammed in coach. Modulator humming soft under collar. The hearing chamber in Rayburn House office building buzzed like a hive. Congress critters grandstanding. Witnesses trembling. A Mexican mom whose son vanished into Echo's donor pool. A Wall Street widow hosting her dead husband's ghost in her skull. Cameras rolled for C-SPAN purgatory. I queued as Jane Doe. Survivor advocate, badge swiped by a bored clerk. Heart, Jack's war drum, pounded as I took the stand. Latex mask a second skin, eyes downcast in feigned trauma. I represent the swapped. I began. Modulator weaving Piper's cadence. They took our minds, auctioned our souls. But the architect, Ethan Blackwood, didn't act alone. Murmurs rippled. The ranking Dem, a sharp-elbowed Californian named Reyes,
Leaned in.
MS.
Doe.
Specifics. Names. Methods. I exhaled. Unleashing the torrent. Ethan's ledgers. Khalid's wire to Cayman shells. The senator's empty vessel, gasps, Senator Hargrove, Flushing beat. And me, I pressed, voice cracking authentic. Swapped into this. This exile. My husband wore my face to kill, to lie, to lead. But I signed the first waiver. Guilt's the real swap, trades your ethics for empire. The room ignited, shouts. Gavels. Hargrove bolting for the exit till Capitol Police cuffed him mid-denial. My mask held, but sweat beaded, recognition specter in every flashbulb. Reyes pulled me aside post-testimony, eyes gleaming. You're no dough. That voice, Hayes? The real one. Busted. I peeled the latex slow, Jack's mug emerging like a glitch. Both. And neither. She whistled, ushering me to a secure anteroom, marble walls. Coffee bitter as betrayal. Off record, DARPA spooked. Want the tech buried, but your leaks cracked the vault. Help us nail it, full debrief. Immunity. Immunity? The holy grail. But laced with hooks. Testify against Ethan. Detail my complicity, the waivers, the forgotten fetus, the ambition that fertilized the beast. Controversial yield. Trade silence for spotlight. Become the poster child for a reformed rogue, or ghost out. Let the system self-destruct. I need access, I countered.
To him.
One visit. Closure code. Reyes nodded. Wheels turning.
Done.
But no games. The Blacksite shuttle was a black van through Virginia woods. Razor wire glinting under floodlights. Ethan, me, shuffled into the interrogation suite. Restraints clinking. Piper's frame gaunt as a wireframe model.
His eyes.
My eyes. Lit with feral recognition. Harlan. Or what's left. Come to gloat. I sat. No mask now, just raw interface. Gloat?
Nah.
Debug. The baby, why wipe it? Mercy or method? He laughed. Hollow echo. Method. Always. You were cracking, crying in the shower. Ethics haunting like bad loops. The wipe was a favor, kept you functional. Like swapping you now, saving you from the fall. Liar's lag. I leaned in, breath sinking. You sold us all. The intern.
Jack.
Me, pawns in your upload to godhood. His smirk faltered. Vulnerability glitching. Godhood? It's survival. The valley eats the weak. I made us apex. You loved it once. Champagne toasts over trial data. Your hand on my thigh under the table. We were gods. Piper. Were. The bridge implant hummed dormant in my pocket. Dex's upgrade. Bidirectional now. One last sync. Truth serum. Neural addition. He recoiled, but restraints held. I palmed the device. Docking ear to temple, static surge. Minds merging like hostile takeover. Flood. His childhood in Queen's squalor. Clawing to Stanford on scholarships stained with fraud. Our wedding. His terror of losing the facade, the abortion consult. His tears as the doctor confirmed. It's viable. But your career. We'd both signed. Both erased. Partners in erasure. Deeper, the swap wasn't theft. It was escape pod. Ethan, facing indictment, had echoed us to share the load. His sins in my clean slate. My guilt in Jack's discard. But the rig malfunctioned. Inverting. I got Jack's shell. He got mine intact. The twist reversed. He hadn't stolen my life. I'd burdened his with my innocence, forcing him to play saint in a murderer's game. Disconnect ripped us apart. Him slumping. Me reeling, nausea. Epiphany. Villain?
Us.
Symbiotic malware. You loved me, I whispered. Enough to drown in it, enough to try. His voice, mine broke. Reverse it. End this. The decision. Mercy's controversy. I crushed the bridge under boot. Circuits sparking like dying stars.
No.
Live with the echo. It's the real punishment. Guards hauled him as I exfiltrated. Reyes waiting with a deal memo, immunity for testimony. Book rights implied. Sarah's flight ticket burned in my pocket, Vancouver. Fresh start. But climax crested en route to Dulles. Paparazzi ambush. Drones buzzing like hornets. Harlan. Swap survivor, statement. Flashes blinded. I bolted. But a mic caught me. It's not heroes and villains. It's code flawed.
Human.
Fix the system. Not the souls. Viral again. The hearing exploded into reform bills. Echo banned. Victims compensated.
Ethan?
Life without. My body his prison eternal. I boarded under alias. Jack's frame folding into first class. Perk of infamy. Sarah waited at YVR. Arms open. Home? Maybe. The debate endures. Redemption or relapse. In this skin, I code my own answer. Vancouver's rain was a soft reset. Persistent drizzle washing DC. Grime from Jack's pores. Mist cloaking the North Shore mountains like merciful fog. Sarah's bungalow in East Van perched on a cedar slope. Views of Burrard Inlet where tankers ghosted like swapped specters. She called it the healing house. Yoga mats in the sunroom. Therapy journals stacked by the kettle. A far cry from Reno's roulette wheels or Palo Alto's pixelated grind. I arrived at dusk. Duffel slung over shoulder. The weight of immunity papers lighter than expected. Welcome home. Whoever you are, she said. Hugging fierce. No questions yet. The first weeks were decompression. Walks along Kitsilano Beach. Jack's prosthetic crunching shells. Piper's mind mapping tidal patterns like data flows. Sarah cooked vegan curries spiced with stories of her students. Undergrads raging against AI overlords. They quote you now, she teased over pad thai. Fix the code. Not the souls. T-shirts even. I snorted. Bourbon. Jack's Vice. Warming the gullet. Merch off my misery. Classy. Nights were harder, echoes reverberating. I jolt awake, convinced I smelled Ethan's cologne on the sheets, or hear the gurney's hum in the fridge compressor. Decks checked in sporadic. His Seattle startup, neural nomads, pivoting to ethical VR, no swaps. Promise. Owe you that much. Swapgate's aftershocks rippled global. EU bans on neural tech. Bollywood biopics greenlit. Conspiracy pods claiming it was all Clintonian mind control. Ethan faded to footnote. Hayes Blackwood, a cautionary alias in psych texts. But closure's a myth. Secrets resurface like buffer overruns. One crisp October morning. Parcel arrived, no sender. Brown wrap innocuous. Inside a Neuralink chip, palm-sized, etched with our initials, P&E. Wedding band font. Attached drive hummed to life on Sarah's Mac. Ethan's final upload. Smuggled via a complicit guard. For you,
Love.
the full archive. Decide the delete. I plugged in alone. Cabin shuddered against the squall. Files cascaded. Our Reno courtship. Camcorder grainy. 26. Pitching ethics, startups over dive bar drafts. Him. Silver-tongued. Promising, world's weed rewrite. Honeymoon logs. Bora Bora. His whispers of kids after the IPO, my nods distracted by inbox pings. Then the pivot, the pregnancy test positive in a Hilton bathroom. Joy glitching to dread as bored emails flooded. Trials accelerate or we fold. His voiceover narrated the descent. You chose the company. I chose you. Wiped the pain so you could lead. Clips of me post-procedure. Hollow-eyed at conferences, signing waivers with mechanical flourish. The intern's affair? His Hail Mary to jolt me from numbness. Remind you of fire. Her death? Botched outsourcing. Panic overriding sense. Deeper. Echoes Genesis. Not ambition, but atonement. DARPA seed money for trauma transfer, inspired by our loss. Swap the grief, he'd pitched. But power corrupted. First clients paid premiums. Victims source cheap. My frame? Chosen for its stability. The clean ethicist to launder his sins. The malfunction? Sabotage his intern's ghost. A latent engram from her swap prototype. Inverting the flow. The twist's reversal gutted me. Ethan hadn't betrayed. He'd bootstrapped our redemption. Flawed as Frankenstein code. I'd taken the fall not as pawn, but partner, subconsciously greenlighting the deepfakes. Knowing in buried bites it shielded us. The child? Our original sin. Echoed in every stolen soul. I ejected the drive. Chip pulverized under heel. Sparks dancing like fireflies in the hearth. Sarah found me there. Curled fetal. Sobs racking Jack's frame. The end, she asked. Blanket draping.
No.
The reboot. Confession poured. Full complicity. The fetus's ghost. Ethan's twisted love. She absorbed. Unblinking sociologist's gift, then write it. Not revenge, reckoning. Book.
Ted.
Whatever. Make the debate doctrine. Controversial coda. Expose the mutuality. Villainy as duet. I chose yes. Penned echoes unswapped. Ghostwritten under Harlan's byline. Piper's voice threading the prose. It dropped to acclaim and bile. NYT hailed, brave duality. Trolls screamed, cop-out confessional. Debates flared. Podcasts pitting, tech as tool versus Frankenstein's folly. Ethics profs citing me in syllabi. Climax's echo. A parole whisper, Ethan. Rehabilitated, seeking contact. I flew solo to the site. No bridge. Just glass partition. He looked diminished in my skin. crow's feet Piper never earned. Spirits swapped for serenity. Delete worked, he rasped. Better than revenge. We talked hours, regrets unpacked like old code. Laughs at valley absurdities. No reversal, just release. Live well, I said, signing the visitor log as echo. Back in Van. Sarah and I built Community Center for Swap Survivors. VR therapy sans the horror, ethical echoes. Jack's tats faded under ink washes, Piper's fire-fueled lectures. Ending? Not happily ever. Nor tragedy's dirge, ambiguous algorithm. Open to interpretation. Heroic haunt or haunted accomplice. You debated over coffee. While I code forward. One unswapped step at a time. The Empire's ash fertilized new growth. Betrayal's scar mapped the man I became. They planned to erase me, take my home, and rewrite my place until I exposed every step. And in the quiet, I wonder, swap back or stay. The mirror shrugs, multiple faces grinning. Your call.